Of all of the amendments demanded by the Anti-Federalists at the state conventions that ratified the Constitution, there was one that was by far the most popular. Afraid that the tyranny of King George III would be substituted for the tyranny of the federal government, James Madison introduced the 10th Amendment, which Thomas Jefferson would later describe as the foundation of the Constitution. The 10th Amendment reads, "The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited to it by the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people." This amendment forms the basis for the principle of the separation of powers, that certain areas of jurisdiction, like the power to print money and to declare war, are given to the federal government, while other areas, like the power to establish local elections and issue licenses, are given to the states. Alexander Hamilton spoke of an equilibrium between the states and the federal government, while Thomas Jefferson described the two as coordinate departments of one simple and integral whole. The Founding Fathers knew that the government, if given the chance, would overstep its bounds, and they wanted the states and the federal government to keep a wary eye on the power of the other. The ebb and flow of power between the states and the federal government has served as the backdrop to some of the most important struggles in United States history. In 1791, Alexander Hamilton proposed the chartering of the First National Bank, while Thomas Jefferson replied with a resounding declaration that such an act was unconstitutional. However, a looming financial crisis gave Alexander Hamilton the upper hand, and the Supreme Court affirmed the supremacy of federal law over state law in McCulloch v. Maryland. An anti-federalist once told James Madison that he opposed the Constitution because he feared that over time, the power of the federal government would eclipse the power of the states. Madison acknowledged that such a danger existed, but he predicted that the states would band together to counteract it. He stated, "The same combinations would result from the apprehension of federal domination as were produced by the dread of the foreign yoke." Last week, my father and I visited Washington, D.C., and we went to the National Archives and saw the original Bill of Rights. And even though the parchment was fraying and the ink was barely visible, the words of the 10th Amendment remain as important to us today as they did 224 years ago. Today, no other issue arouses more controversy about the role of the states and the federal government than the health care law signed by President Obama last year. 22 different states have sued the federal government, claiming that the law's mandate of the purchase of health insurance is unconstitutional. Does the banding together of states represent such a concerted effort as James Madison described? Or does the Commerce Clause in Article 1, Section 8 give the federal government this right? The Supreme Court will no doubt act as the ultimate referee on this question. Amid the controversy over health care, new attention has been drawn to the 10th Amendment. In fact, 37 different states have introduced 10th Amendment resolutions, affirming the importance of state sovereignty and the 10th Amendment. No matter how the Supreme Court ultimately decides this question, we should not be too concerned that such a struggle has erupted between the states and the federal government. It is merely a sign of two institutions pitting their power against each other, exactly as the Founding Fathers envisioned with the 10th Amendment.